back to the Lovely Digest here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If you're new, hi, my name is Emily, and if you're new, please make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. So to jump right into it, as you saw from the title, today I'm going to be talking about packing for road trips. Now, I usually really like to pack light. Before I got Crohn's disease, I would just travel around with a backpack that was about half this size, and it was kind of difficult, but it definitely made traveling a lot easier, especially when you're traveling solo. You don't have someone to help you with your luggage or watch it if you go to the bathroom. So I recently got this backpack, and I got it because I went on a trip to California with my best friend and just brought this, and then I had planned on just using it for a trip to England. I was going to drive from England to Scotland with my boyfriend, but then unfortunately that got canceled because of coronavirus. So I have this backpack and I'm planning on using it anyways. It is a wonderful backpack. It's from Cotopaxi and it's a little bit expensive, so I definitely wait for one of their sales. I got this for Black Friday, and it's great because it's soft-sided and it's obviously a backpack, and then there's an attachment that you can just use it to loop over your shoulder, and it has these wonderful compartments inside. And I like to be very organized when traveling. It just makes it a little bit easier if you know where everything is. You don't have to go digging through just a one compartment suitcase. And then it also is easy because if you're traveling solo, you don't have to rely on anyone to watch your bags. You don't have to lug around a roller suitcase. There's definitely many benefits of traveling with just a backpack, but because I'm not talking about that today, this is just the bag that I'm going to go ahead and use. Now, for road trips in particular, it's a little bit easier to travel with Crohn's disease on road trips because you can bring a lot of things with you. If you're driving in a car, you might be sharing it with other people, but you have a little bit more wiggle room in the fact that you don't have to worry about the amount of things you're bringing with you like you do on a plane, and then you can bring open containers. So what I like to do on road trips, or if I'm in the car, is bring little containers like these. This is a basket that I would use for the shower or the bathroom. So if I am sharing a bathroom, it's nice because I can put all of my shower supplies in here, my toiletries, and just bring it whenever I go to the bathroom. And then I also like to have a couple of baskets, and then I have a picnic basket over there that I'll show you later, and it just makes it a little bit easier to compartmentalize and to throw things in the car. And then once you get to your destination, you don't have to spend time unpacking. You can just put them in the rooms that they're meant to be in, or leave them outside, or leave them in the car, and then you're all set. You don't have to unpack. So this video isn't so much about what I'm packing, but how I pack. The first thing that's so important for me is making a list. Now, I'll usually do this like as soon as I know I'm going on the trip because I get really overexcited, but I would recommend doing it maybe 3 to 2 weeks out from your trip, depending on if you're going to have to bring your own food. Now, for this trip, I'm going off the grid into Vermont, cooking all of my own food. Don't plan on going to any restaurants. So I had to think about food in advance, if I'm gonna have to order the food, how much food I'm gonna make versus how much food my boyfriend's gonna make, and kind of splitting that up. So we did that the other day. We split it all up, and then I placed an order, and that food will come, and then I can prepare food in advance because we're going off the grid into a cabin that doesn't have a lot of amenities. So I want to make some banana bread and some cookies. So that's stuff that kind of takes a long time to prepare or fit into my schedule. So I will usually go through that about, again, like 3 to 2 weeks before the trip. And then in this case, I also did my clothes and my packing list about a month ago, or like 3 weeks ago, and it just kind of helps me get into the mindset of if I need anything extra to buy, which I definitely did not. But if you're going on a trip and you might need to buy a couple of extra things, it makes it a lot easier on yourself to make these lists in advance, because then you're not rushing around last minute, or you're not worrying about forgetting something. And those worries always end up following me on the trip, and they just make the beginning of the trip a little bit more of a hassle than it should be. your trip should be a lot of fun and you should be able to put all of your focus on the fun things and not have to worry too much while traveling. So to go along with that, I also create a pre-travel checklist, and then I'll just leave this on my desk, and then as I go through my normal routine, I'll think of more and more things that I'll need to do while I'm gone, and then I'll just add them. This helps a lot so that you're not sitting down and putting a lot of pressure on yourself to come up with everything, because that's usually when I feel like I get that feeling where I'm forgetting something. So this just helps a lot. If I do my skincare routine, then I will write a list or just pack while I'm doing the skincare routine so that way I don't forget anything. And then that also applies again to eating and meals. So you can make a list based on what you like to eat and then what might be easy for you to eat. So you can kind of start thinking about it beforehand. Now, if you don't have Crohn's or IBD, this might not even be necessary for you, but I found that with the Crohn's, it's a lot more helpful to think about these things ahead of time, and then that way I'm not stressing myself out. And then if you have IBD, you know that if you get stressed out, it just makes things a little bit more hard for you. Your system might get thrown off, and that's just not the way to go or the way to start out a really fun trip. So another thing to think about if you have IBD, and I know this is a lot to think about, and that's why I wanted to make this video, because I feel like sometimes it can get more stressful to plan a trip than actually be enjoyable. So this is hopefully going to help you to not be so intimidated by taking trips with IBD. And I have a couple of worksheets that I'll also post in my blog in the next couple of weeks on things that really help me when thinking about traveling, and lists that help with going through all the different things that you might need to consider when traveling with IBD in relation to whether it's plane travel or road trips. So I'm working on that for you guys. Definitely let me know down in the comments below if there's certain things that you want to see. Okay, so starting out, I'm going to go through a couple of things that I keep in my little picnic basket for this trip. The first thing being collagen packets. Usually sometimes I'll just bring the whole container, especially if I'm not really worried about space. Then I'll just bring a laundry basket of food with me, and then that way I don't have to worry about putting everything in tiny little containers. And then I know that that makes traveling easier, and if you're going for a long time, that might be easier for you. Or if you have a lot less space or you're traveling with a large group, then definitely go ahead and sort things out into little containers. But I find that just adds a lot more stress. Like, yes, I'm packing more, but it's just easier to throw things into a basket in their full containers and not have to really worry about it. So that's what I've done the last couple of times for road trips. But however, this time I am just going for a couple of days, so I don't really have to worry about having a lot of product with me. I'm only going for 5 days. So I have these little collagen peptides packets, and what's so nice about these is that it's just one serving. You just have to dump it in, and then you don't have this big chunky container to bring home with you. Once you're done with all these packets. And also I'm bringing, I'll show you in a second, this little blender. So it just definitely helps with keeping things straight and organized, and it's the perfect amount. So going into the picnic basket, I'm not going to show you all the food that I'm bringing again, but just a couple of things that make trips a lot easier. Definitely these little pill boxes. I'm sure if you have IBD, you're familiar with this, but even if you don't have IBD, instead of bringing all of your different pill packets with you, I will say that having this is just so much easier. It's brainless. You don't have to set reminders necessarily for yourself to take your medication. I still do, just because I don't want to miss my medication, but everything's all sorted for the morning to the night. And then I also have my little ashwagandha thing, so I can put it right into my smoothie, and then my probiotics and the antibiotics and my iron pills. So everything is all set and organized in advance. I don't have to worry about figuring out the math of it. On the trip, I just have it all ready to go. I cannot live without macaroons. So these, Imodium has never worked for me. Macaroons are what works for me. I've talked about this in a past video, but I always keep some on me. And then bring extra for your friends, because I found that my friends love them as much as I do, so I always just bring extra of those. And then another thing to think about is bringing things in reusable bottles. We love to be sustainable here on the Lovely Digest, so just bringing these little sustainable reusable glass bottles. This is my syrup, and then I also pre-mixed, instead of bringing 2 bottles, one for my cranberry juice, one for my coconut water, I just mixed it all together because that's what I do at home, and put it into another glass bottle, and I'll be bringing that as well. So I haven't used this yet myself, but I've heard wonderful things about it. I got this BlendJet, and it is just a portable blender. It's really small and compact, but it looks like it would be the approximate good size for a smoothie, so I'm planning on bringing this as well. Sadly, I cannot live without a blender. I mean, I could if it was only a couple of days, but since I'm going for 5 days, it's kind of pushing it. I like to take my medicine in powder form in a smoothie rather than swallowing a lot of pills, because my body tends to absorb things better when it's out of the pill packet and I'm just ingesting it mixed up in a smoothie. And that's also how I take my protein powder and my ashwagandha pills. So that's how I take all of that, and I just couldn't imagine going on this trip with a full-blown blender either. So I'm hoping that this does the job. I will definitely let you guys know on Instagram if it works. The last thing that I didn't show in this video, but I have in another video, is my little IBD to-go packet. I definitely always bring that on trips with me, and that'll be really important for me on this trip, just because we are going to a cabin off the grid and it has an outhouse and an outdoor shower instead of a bathroom. So it's a bit of a game changer for me. I've never really been camping, even though I love the idea of it. So this is my first dip into staying out in a cabin, and I'm really excited about it. But having my IBD bag, I'm sure will boost my confidence a little bit in traveling and being out of my comfort zone. So I will link that video below or leave it in a card above so that you can find that on my channel. I hope you guys loved today's video. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day.